All right, so the other day I made a tweet talking about how I noticed that 2022 is already getting packed with games. Specifically, I mentioned like the first few months in 2022 is already packed, and a lot of this has to do with delays out of 2021 into 2022 for some pretty big titles. Some were made public that there was a delay because they had already kind of alluded to the idea of releasing in 2021. Others, well, they never really talked about when the game was coming out, and it is coming out in 2022, so they at least didn't have to make that as public of a situation. But because of all of the delays we're seeing out of 2021 into 2022 due to the pandemic, the remote work, and for the most part, just schedules and milestones just being all jumbled up because of that situation over the last year and a half or so, to me, it looks like 2022 could be one of the most crowded years in gaming. As I started to make this list here, I thought to myself, this is already what we know now in September, just about 2021. And I'm sure there's plenty more games getting announced here as we go into next year. We're going to talk about that here, guys. If you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. So let's start right away with January and February. 2 months that are already kind of packed now with titles. Some big games too, starting with Elden Ring. That's January 21st. And this is a game, obviously, people are really excited for. There was some concern that they set this firm release date and it'll probably get delayed. No, they recently, once again, FromSoft mentioned, hey, we're pretty confident with this release date, and they talked a bit more about details around the game. So yes, I fully expect this game to release January 21st, and I'm sure we'll get patches and stuff down the road to take advantage of the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5. Then, the next week, we have Pokemon Legends Arceus, a Pokemon game that people are very excited about because it takes the entire franchise in a new direction when it comes to video games with kind of the open world nature. Then we have Rainbow Six Extraction. That's still sometime in January, but still Rainbow Six, very popular franchise right now with Siege, so I'm sure Extraction, there's a lot of excitement around that one when it does release. Then we go into February, and there's like this string of like a week where a bunch of games release, starting with Horizon Forbidden West. We had that announcement at Gamescom that it is coming out February, not this year, unfortunately. And then a few days later, we have Sifu, which looks better every time I see it. And then a few days after that, we have Saints Row, the full reboot of that franchise. And the fan base is a little divided on this one. And I kind of see why, because I guess the art direction, the styling around the characters, and just the overall feel of the game. But to be honest, they got to a point where I don't know where else they could take this thing, because it already got way out there, and I guess they wanted to kind of bring it back down to earth a bit, so to speak, with this reboot, to where you're going to be starting up from nothing and trying to build up your criminal organization. And some of the ideas around it sound pretty cool. You get to build your own character. You'll be doing a lot of even real estate and property stuff to build your empire and just kind of working your way up the ranks. So I still need to see more about this game and eventually play it before I can say it is a bad idea to do this reboot exactly. We also have Evil Dead releasing sometime in February. That one also was delayed out of this year. And then we go into March and we'll have WWE 2K22. And 2K22 is it's an interesting topic on its own with everything that was going on behind the scenes between 2K and WWE and Visual Concepts, but that was going to be coming out later on this holiday, we assumed, because it was already delayed out of last year. They basically skipped it. But that is coming out in March, so it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. Marvel's Midnight Suns was just revealed at Gamescom, and it's like this tactics-based Marvel game. So once again, an interesting take there on that franchise. It's coming out in March. And then we go into April. We have Stalker 2, which visually looks like one of the best games I've seen in a long time. And here's the interesting part about this. There are already some release dates that we have that are like a year away. And yeah, I think some of that has to do with, again, everything that's been going on with the pandemic, delays, and most people just saying, hey, you know what, we're going to push this game way out to this release date that we know we'll absolutely be able to hit. Like, for example, the new Test Drive game, that's Test Drive Solar Crown, that's coming out September 22nd, 2022. Like, we already know the release date for that one. And then obviously the big one, Starfield, That's coming out November 11th. I know that lines up with like, an anniversary release, all of this for them, but that's a big game to already know the release date for, which we found out, a little while ago, having this release date more than a year out from it. So you can kind of see how the first couple of months for 2022 are packed with some pretty high quality games, and even some to keep an eye on, just see how they turn out, like WWE 2K22. But then we get into games that we don't have any release dates for. We have an idea for some of them when it comes to like release windows, but this is where things get interesting because we're trying to figure out where these games are exactly going to release throughout the year. And there could be a couple of months in 2022 where it is like every week 2 big games are coming out. So let's start here. I made a whole list, and there are probably some that I missed because there are that many coming out. We're going to start with Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope, and I really like the idea of this game. Obviously, we're going around through space. I enjoyed Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. And then we have Redfall, that was revealed from Arcane at Microsoft's E3 event. Metal Slug Tactics, the big turnaround story here for Sean over at RGT85. Looking forward to that one. That's going to be very exciting when that does release. New take on the Metal Slug series there. Again, a tactical style game. Ghostwire Tokyo, that I believe is set for Q1 or Q2, somewhere in there. So again, we'll see how that one turns out from Bethesda. And then we have Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga. That was revealed for spring 2022. And this game's been delayed quite a bit. And I do believe this specifically has to do with pandemic remote work and a lot of things going on behind the scenes at the developer there. But people are wondering. There we go, spring. God of War, that was famously delayed, even though no one expected it to come out in 2021 at all. Like, some people were surprised at Horizon Forbidden West. No one was surprised that God of War was not coming out in 2021. But still, that means next year we should be seeing Horizon Forbidden West, God of War, and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. They're aiming for 2022, which tells me there's a chance that it slips into 2023, but I am hopeful we'll be able to get that game in our hands next year. And then we have Splatoon 3. I believe that game could end up coming out in like the first half of 2022, maybe even a summer game. I think that'd be cool. Gotham Knights, that one was also delayed out of this year, and the Batman family being like the main focus here, and it kind of being multiplayer based. So I am looking forward to that, as I do enjoy a lot of the Batman games. Hogwarts Legacy, this one also delayed out of last year. Obviously big for Harry Potter fans. Forspoken, that is set for 2022, and from what's been shown, it's visually stunning, and I think we just need to see more about the game, the story, and all of this. Dead Space, very exciting to see Dead Space get that reveal, and once again, they're aiming to have it out, I believe, the Q4 of 2022, so more towards the holiday. Suicide Squad, that's another big release there from WB. Gran Turismo 7, certainly delayed. That was a very big spectacle there because they also said it was now coming to the PlayStation 4 alongside of the PS5, and we have another racing game, Need for Speed, which was just kind of named tentatively by EA during a conference call with investors because they did move Criterion to help out with some other projects. That got pushed also to 2022. Then we have Project Triangle Strategy from Square, Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. I mean, just looking at the games that I went over very quickly here that do not have any kind of release date yet, that's 18 titles. The ones that do have release dates, or at least a very small release window, is another 12. So that's 30 games that I just went over here. And there's still others like smaller indie titles that would be popping up here as we go along next year. So I think we're going to get to a point, because these games aren't going to be spread out that well throughout the year. I'm kind of looking at August to December as just being absolutely jam-packed with games in 2022, considering these are the games we know about now going into September of 2021. You don't think Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony are going to have other titles to announce next year? We could see a bunch of games from Sony release for like their new VR headset that could also come out next year. Nintendo has a bunch of games currently in the oven, like a Bayonetta or maybe Metroid Prime, that start kind of popping up here. And then you never know with Microsoft and all those studios that they have. So I'm looking at 2022 now, and considering, yeah, some of these games could then also be delayed into 2023. Let's just say for now that they all stay in 2022. I mean, this could be the most packed year I've ever seen in gaming, and it's very exciting. But again, Also very expensive. Let me know what you guys think about this whole situation, as a lot of these games being delayed out of 2021 is starting to create a very crowded 2022 for games. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.